welcome to the channel viewers. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. We're in the sports car. Beautiful BMW. Alright, first thing you're going to find about a narcissist, covert, they do go overt eventually, but they start off as overt, is they fall away. They start to do things that'll aggravate you within the relationship. They try and set you up at a distance to become a convenience, and they'll do this over a long period of time. They'll make the effort to try and condition you to receiving them from a distance. Now, they'll triangulate to do this, particularly if they're enmeshed. If they're in emotional incest, they'll use children to shield you from them because they're setting you up to be a source of supply. They want to have their dependency, that's just being interested in what their primary thing in life is, and then set you up at a distance and work their life around that situation. This is going to cause you a questioning towards the person, but they're going to do it in such a micro incremental way. They're going to still be supplying you with intimacy and company, but the way in which they do this is so brilliantly done. I believe they're programmed to do this in the spiritual realm. I believe it's the spiritual realm that instills this into them, because the way that I've seen it, they're all the same. They're all working out the same. It's exactly the same. And if you've got 2 or 3, 4 or 5 people that have tried to do the same thing and they don't know each other, and it's not normal and it's not natural for a healthy relationship, then where are they learning it from? They're learning it from familiar spirits that know how to traumatize the human mind. They know what to do to bring someone down, and this is programmed into these people. Now, they're on their own for a reason, and sometimes it's by choice and sometimes it's by being dumped, but they're on their own for a reason. And this demonic programming happens by way of spiritual language. It's a spiritual teaching. It's a spiritual force that's forming their thinking within them. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It does take time. But it's the same programming in a lot of these, in the ones that I've had. It's exactly the same pattern. It's exactly the same pattern, the way in which it works, what happens, how they try and condition you, what they're trying to accomplish. And to be honest with you, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish, because when you're in a relationship, usually you want to be with that person and build with your partner. But these people, they get you in, and then they try and hold you at a distance, like they're the person at an airport that's in contact with the plane, and now they're holding you in a holding pattern at a distance, but still connected with you when they want you. Now, I've noticed the closer you try to get to these people, the more uncomfortable they become, unless it's time for their top up. they want the affection, but when you look at it very closely, they want to be alone as well. Now, these types of people aren't for everyone. They are the part of the masses. The masses accept this kind of behavior, and the masses will go along with it. And that's why if you meet somebody out of the masses or out of this kind of dark spiritual programming, sinful programming, they know how to hide it. You have to understand this. And once they believe the relationship's established and you're good supply and you're going to suit them, that's when this conditioning will start, this separative conditioning, because they want to be with other people. They have other interests. And I remember saying to a couple of them, if we're exclusive, do we have other people orbiting around? Like, do we entertain them? And a couple of them have said, well, you know, you're allowed to have friends. And straight away you go, oh, okay. So you know there's going to be this separative distancing at work in them. Now, it takes years to be able to identify, decades of wasted time trying to, you know, deal with these people, watching them just pull back. There's always some kind of pullback. There's always some kind of triangulation, interference. There's always some kind of, you know, preference to what's going on beside you. And it becomes a monotony. Oh, they're all in for the sex, and you'll notice that a lot of them are lazy and addicted to things. Some are religious. Because it's a spiritual programming. They don't even know they've been programmed to be this way, to be dysfunctional. So as the relationship wears on and you're trying to build, you're noticing that it's like going out with a brick wall. It's the same old pattern. It's the same old problems. It's the same old triangulation. And you'll notice that as the unresolved starts to thicken, because they know that you're not happy. They know that these problems need to be fixed, because while you're A-grade supply and the light's shining and they're fascinated with that and interested in that, at the same time they also know that you're not going to muck around. If you get pushed too far, they're gone. And they don't know how to deal with this. It puts them in a quandary. They want the relationship, but they want to live a life that sabotages it as well. And this is where their trauma begins, because they don't know what to do with people that are well organized, have boundaries, know what is right and wrong in a relationship, know what is acceptable and what's not, and they know how to manage themselves without the other person as well. So it's not about independence, it's not about being with other people, it's not about, you know, being a minimalist, because that's what these people are. It's about trying to work in together with these people to have a happy relationship, but they're not going to let you, because they're very split. They're split between so many things, be it family members, they're all enmeshed, their habits, drugs, and I don't mean hobbies, their asexuality, to put it bluntly, they're into themselves, but you can't see this on the surface, because after the predator stage, they become the victim. The covert female narcissist will use her body parts to get you in. She'll get you in sexually. And then the covert female predator, once she's got you hooked, she'll then switch to the victim. And then that makes you have a sense of you're fulfilling a role for her that's absolutely necessary for her mental health and for her physical health and for her life. And this deceives you into having a role in her life that you think's necessary and vital to her, that she values. You're wrong. You're wrong. The problem with this is, if you're A-grade supply, that's where you're missing it. You've done the work, your body performs, you're an asset to this person, and that's all they're using you for. The other psychological stuff's just to keep you pinned in. It's just to keep you hemmed in, the relationship. They don't love you. They don't care if you come or go. As a matter of fact, you're probably wearing them down with your standards and your values. And they're just running it until, like in time past, they lose again. So these people essentially are wasting their life, or have wasted their life, and now they're going to waste yours for as long as you let them. You're just a source of supply. And the way you can work this out is by the separativeness. There's an innate, strange, weird, dark, demonic separativeness. They don't build anything substantial. They don't know how to. They don't want to. They've got too many other interests relative to their habits and their hobbies and their desires and lusts that they'll fulfill and go on to fulfill whether you're there or not. The problem that they have is they meet people that are at different levels of maturity. And when somebody like this loses A-grade supply, they try and justify themselves with strangers and getting with other people and that. But it ends up messing with their mental health. And this is where their mental health issues come in, which extends their medications and their habits and all their other stuff. They start to take more of it, and then their life begins to, as it was before you come along, spiral deeper into the darkness. And you'll know this if you've got any idea on psychology or theology and Christian theology and all this. These people, once they've gone out of the light, they've lost your light, it's very hard for them to find someone like this again, because they work in the emotional realm and they deceive each other. It's all built on a form of emotional and spiritual dark deception. They run on their the highs and lows of their emotions. And this deceives these people into being deceived by people. They get used, pumped, dumped, used and pumped and dumped and tricked and robbed and raped and abused. And this makes them think back to where you were in their life and the things that you shared and had. They do think back, and they do think back with regret, because you used to, you were alongside them, you were always on time, you always performed well, you delivered well as a man, they knew you cared, They also knew that they were running you into the ground, and they also knew that they were wearing you out. And they look back with tremendous regret. Excuse me. And this also adds to the deterioration in their mental health and the continuation of their habits. And it's really horrible. You'll find the next time you see them or something like this, you think, oh my goodness, like, look what you've done. Because there's an element of damage that occurs to you as well as a result of this folly and foolish way of living. They just don't take any account for the consequences of how they behave, what the ramifications are of being in a relationship and then just ruining it. They don't understand that this is all consequential, severely consequential. And they just live with the results. They live with the harm and the damage. And that's all there is to it. And it goes on and on and on and on. Dementia will start setting in. They'll end up with all sorts of different kinds of ailments and problems, and it gets really ugly because they don't learn anything. They don't learn anything because they think they know everything, but they don't. And it just goes on and on and on, until their mental health's deteriorated. They've got dementia, short-term memory loss, severe deep migraines. That's the big one, the severe deep migraines they suffer from. And headaches and body parts start to give in, and because they haven't considered themselves or anybody else. But don't you worry, you should be doing the right thing. If you're listening to this video, you're obviously trying to work out how to do the right thing. You've been gypped, duped, deceived. You've been used as a form of supply, that's all you were. And that's why you're watching this video. You want to figure out how not to have that happen to you again. You don't want that to have that happen to you again. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.